Hello, you beautiful people. Today I wanted to give you guys my list of the top 10 centers in the league in terms of their fantasy value. They are listed in order of who I think will finish off the season with the most fantasy points. So this is for head-to-head points leagues, just to clear that up. Before I begin, please note that this is just my opinion and you are perfectly entitled to disagree with anything I say. This will also only include players whose primary position is center, so no AD, Sabonis, Porzingis, or anything like that. So yeah, like and subscribe if you want to, and let's start off the list. So starting off our list at the number 10 spot is Clint Capela of the Atlanta Hawks. So for the season, Clint's averaging 13 points and 13 rebounds a game while putting up 1.4 blocks. Now those are just really solid fantasy numbers. I mean, Clint Capela's always been an efficient scorer, he's always been a good shot blocker, and by playing with Trae Young, he's really increasing his production on the points end, just simply due to the amount of lobs he's going to be grabbing. In the last 7 days, he is putting up 21 points a game, and I feel like by the end of the season, his points per game will average out at around 18, so yeah, Clint Capela is a really solid option to have, and he's starting off our list as the number 10 fantasy center. So moving on to the number 9 spot, we have DeAndre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns. Now, at the start of the season, I actually believed that he was going to have a breakout campaign this year, and so far, that just hasn't been the case. I mean, you'd think playing with Chris Paul would really help his numbers, but so far that just hasn't worked out. Like, I mean, he's not being aggressive enough on the offensive end. He's only putting up 12.9 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 1 block, and that's just not going to cut it for the 1-2 punch that they wanted to put on their team with Booker and Ayton. He's still got some solid stats. I mean, he's not terrible or anything, but it's just I had a lot of expectations for him, and he just has really been disappointing so far. So yeah, DeAndre Ayton's coming in at the number 9 spot. Coming in at the number 8 spot is Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers. So at the start of the season, I was not expecting Turner to be this good. I mean, he is blocking everything, and that's mainly what's carrying his fantasy value. He's putting up 12.4 points a game, 6 rebounds, but 4 blocks. I mean, that is just ridiculous. And if you're in a league that has blocks as rated as more points, like if blocks are worth 4 points or something, then Miles Turner has just been killing it. I mean, it is just crazy how the amount of production you're getting out of him. And yeah, I think he's just going to maintain that for the rest of the season, and that's why he's coming in at the number 8 spot. Only reason he's not higher is because of his lack of scoring ability. I mean, he is shooting more three-pointers this year, but still, he's just not scoring the ball as well much as the guys that are rated above him, and that's why he's not higher on the list. So this might be one of the more surprising placements in the video, but at number 7 I have Andre Drummond of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The only reason Andre Drummond is not top 5 is just because of the trade rumors that are swirling around his name right now. Now that they have Allen, I don't really see a need for Drummond on their roster, and yeah, I just feel like he's going to get moved, and not knowing where he's going to get moved, that really hurts his fantasy value, because if he goes to a team that doesn't particularly feature him, his value is going to plummet. So for the season right now, he's putting up 19 points a game, 15 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. And while those are great numbers, there's so much riding on where he goes that will affect his fantasy value, and I just don't think it's worth the risk to try to trade for him right now. And that's why it's hard to place him, because like if he gets on a team like the Celtics, I think his value is going to decrease, but for some reason if he went back to a team like, I don't know, you know how the Pistons love signing centers, if he went back there, then his value will skyrocket. But yeah, for the moment, since I don't know where he's going to go, I'm just going to put him at the number 7 spot and call it a day. Next up, coming in at number 6 is Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets, and I think he is the leading candidate for most improved player this season. I mean, he has just been absolutely phenomenal for the Rockets, and now that Harden's gone, I think his value actually increases due to the amount of shot attempts he's going to be able to put up. So for the season, he's putting up 23.8 points a game, 10 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks. I mean, he has just been a crazy scorer. Like, he was showing potential of this down in Detroit, but he's just making them look even worse for trading him. I mean, he is just an absolute killer. I love his mentality, I love his game, and he's putting up numbers like a top 20 fantasy player right now. So if you drafted him, that was an absolute steal, and I think he's going to be a great player for the rest of the season as well. At the number 5 spot, we have one of my favorite players in the league, and that's Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. Now, I could definitely see a case for Bam moving his way up into the top 3, but that's only if his scoring output increases. So for the season, he's putting up 19.5 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, and 1 steal a game. And that's just a solid all-around game from Bam Adebayo. I mean, he's contributing in every category, and he's efficiently scoring the ball, which definitely helps his efficiency, as well as helping his fantasy numbers. So yeah, the only reason he's not rated higher is just because he doesn't take that many shot attempts, and he doesn't score over 20 points a game like the rest of the guys that are rated above him. But yeah, I think he's going to finish the season as the 5th best fantasy center in the league. Coming in just outside of the top 3 fantasy centers is Nikola Vucevic of the Orlando Magic. Now, I think Vucevic is one of the most underrated players in the league. For the season, he's putting up 22.9 points a game, 11 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1 steal. He is just a great, efficient scorer. I mean, he's a 3-level threat. He can score from the perimeter, he can score from the mid-range, and he can score in the paint, all while doing so on great efficiency numbers. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of Nikola Vucevic. I think he's ideal for fantasy just because he grabs rebounds, he doesn't miss a lot of shots, doesn't turn the ball over at a high rate. And yeah, the only reason he's not higher is just because while he is a good scorer, the guys that are rated above him are even better at scoring. So yeah, he's coming in at the number 4 spot on our list. So at the number 3 spot, we have KarlAnthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I mean, the Minnesota Timberwolves have been absolutely garbage. I mean, their team is terrible, and it's not really Towns' fault. I mean, he hasn't been able to get on the court, he hasn't been healthy, and now he has the Rona, so he's just going to be out for even longer. So yeah, the only reason he didn't beat any of our players in the top 2 is just because he hasn't been on the court. Like I said, he is the best option on the Minnesota Timberwolves by far. I mean, he's putting up 22 points a game, 12 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, but yeah, his inability to stay on the court, and I don't know, it's just normally he has been healthy like in the past, but just these past 2 seasons he really has been having injury struggles, and I just feel like these weeks he's going to miss due to the Rona is going to hurt his fantasy numbers as well. So yeah, by the end of the season I think he'll finish as the 3rd best center in fantasy. At the number 2 spot, we have Joel the Process Embiid from the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Joel is an absolute monster when he's engaged. I mean, he's putting up 25 points a game, 11.5 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, and 1.5 steals. So the only reason that he is not our number 1 option is the injury concerns as well. I mean, he has just not been able to stay on the court for the entirety of his career. I mean, hopefully that improves this season, but I just have reason to doubt that. And honestly, he's just not as good as the players we have at the number 1 spot. So that's why he's coming in at number 2. He is better than everyone else I've mentioned on the list so far just because of his scoring ability and his rebounding. But yeah, the only thing that's holding him back is his injury concerns. If he stays healthy for the whole season, then I think he could potentially pass our number 1 option. But yeah, for right now, he's going to be the number 2 center on my list. And finally, to little surprise, we have Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets coming in at the number 1 spot. So for the season, he's putting up 25 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. I mean, the dude's averaging a triple-double, which is just insane for a center. So this season, the whole Nuggets offense has always just evolved around Jokic. I mean, he is like the center of the wheel. Everything is going through him. It doesn't matter. Every single possession, he's getting a touch, he's making a pass, he's taking a shot, and it is just absolutely insane for fantasy to have someone like that. So yeah, I think he's going to finish the season as the number 1 center in fantasy just because of the usage rate, his scoring, his assists, his rebounds, everything about him is just perfect for fantasy. So yeah, I want to thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know what your top 10 centers are in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day.